not sure what the distance between me and my team here is, but you guys can move closer if you want to. Thanks so much for having us this afternoon. I do think that we're standing between those of you that are here in person, between you and a reception later. So we will try to keep this entertaining and interesting and hopefully a bit insightful for you. I'd love to start by just quickly introducing myself and the company that I have the privilege of leading, called ClearCourse. My name is Christina Hamilton, and ClearCourse was founded in 2018 with a singular mission to build and buy great technologies to support SMEs across a variety of sectors. And since 2018, we have acquired more than 30 industry-specific software companies. And what we do effectively is we embed our own payment technology into those software companies to make it easier for small and mid-sized companies to run and grow their businesses with our software and payment solutions. In short, we literally exist to help small businesses grow and run their businesses better. We heard yesterday from Emma Jones, the new Small Business Commissioner, that there are 3 key ingredients that separate good businesses from elite and great businesses. The first was really robust management of both sales and finances. The second was routine adoption of digital technologies. And the third was when business owners and founders invest in their personal development. And I think we're here to talk today about that second one, right, which is how you achieve growth through the adoption of digital technologies. I think it's fair to say that digital tools now form the fabric of modern life. And I'd like to ask all of you to think back to just how your day started. It was probably an alarm set on your phone, followed by maybe, for those of us that are not very disciplined like myself, a scan of social media and news apps. Maybe some of you and a lot of entrepreneurs are part of that 5 a.m. club who get up and do yoga or mindfulness meditation on an app, typically. And then maybe you move on to your devices to check emails or messages. Then comes the life admin, and whether that is booking a car in for an MOT, booking a tea time at a golf club, booking a restaurant for dinner with your partner, you're probably using digital tools. It might even be one of ours. And when you arrived here, you probably also had some kind of interaction with technology, whether that was paying for your coffee or scanning your QR code to get into this event or logging into this event online. Digital tools, quite frankly, just form the fabric of modern life. And I think all of us would really struggle if we were to have to do without it, given how prolific it has become in our day-to-day routines. They also define how we work, just the day-to-day, how we interact with technology at work has shifted fundamentally. And Gartner did a study a few years ago where they said that on average in 2019, office workers were interacting with about 6 apps or interfaces to complete their tasks. Just a few years on, that number nearly doubled. And I think now, post the pandemic, I think it's fair to say that that number has probably risen even further. I think what's really important is that that report also talked about the fact that while workers are increasingly reliant on these technologies, they can also be incredibly disruptive to how a company runs. So when there are too many systems and technologies that don't have good interoperability, they can actually become a barrier, not an enabler, to efficiency. And that inefficiency, when they don't work well together, what our CTO affectionately refers to as tool sprawl, for SMEs in the UK who are already under an immense amount of pressure, that can mean wasted resource, disengaged employees, lost sales, and a clunky, disconnected customer experience. And at a time where hyper-personalization and customer experience has never been more important to winning a sale, that can have catastrophic consequences. We also heard several times over the past couple of days that we are in the middle of a perfect storm of rising costs, regulatory change, and a huge amount of geopolitical uncertainty. So actually, how we get technology right or wrong can literally mean the difference between survival and sinking. Now, that said, it's not all doom and gloom on any level, because if we get it right, there are significant opportunities to run leaner, smarter, more efficient organizations by implementing technology in the best way possible. And that gives small businesses back the time to do what they do love more than anything else, which is engaging with their customers, building great products, and running and growing their business. So in short, given the fact that both our work lives and business performances are defined by the digital tools that we use, it's essential that we pick the right ones, and that's what we're here to talk to you about today. So I would love to introduce you to two of the stars in my team. Yesterday, one of the CEOs up on stage said there would not really be a business without my team, and I think I would say the same about mine. I would love to welcome two people who really have lived and breathed what we're talking about today. First is Billy Price, who is the managing director of our field services and trades business. He began his software career in 1985. He told me it was okay to say that, before becoming the owner of a specialist CRM software business. He has decades of experience developing tailored solutions across a variety of industries and really has a deep understanding of the operational needs of SMEs and the value of industry-specific technology. Josh, who is just to my left here, is the managing director of our retail business. He built his career in this sector with a strong focus on delivering exceptional customer experiences. And actually, he sold his e-commerce agency to ClearCourse in 2022. He has since then broadened his remit. He now is responsible for several of our retail, online, and in-store products, and really takes a huge amount of pride in empowering his teams with cutting-edge solutions. I think one of the things that Josh, and this makes sense working in the retail sector, also does is he's got a deep interest in the intersection between people and the tools they use to do their work. So, welcome both. To get us started, and this is for those of you who don't know me, I don't usually start with pessimistic questions, but I'm going to today. What is the most catastrophic or disastrous or just downright worst software implementation you've ever seen in a business? And Billy, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. So as Christina just reminded us, I've been in the industry for 42 years, so I've had my fair share of time where I've seen some disastrous projects. So there's a common theme in all of those, and the example I've got today is one that we eventually turned around, but it was where we didn't get the buy-in from the customer. So we're not just talking about the MD here, we're talking about everybody within the business to adopt the new solution. So we were doing an implementation for a 100+ user system. We had everything pre-planned. We'd done sandboxing. We'd done everything that you would generally do to be ready to do an implementation. And then during the training and implementation sessions, we find that the meetings turn into redesign meetings. People are challenging some of the strategies that are being adopted by the system. So it was quickly apparent that this project was going to go wrong, as other projects have gone wrong in the past when you just do not get that buy-in. So I was the person in the room on that day. I remember standing up, walking, putting a stop to everything, walking outside, straight into the MD's office, told him the situation, asked for his immediate intervention, and he got up and he walked straight in. He held hands with all his team, and they were able to get everyone on the same page. We restarted the exercise again, and we were able to go through and implement the system successfully. Now, that project could have gone horribly wrong if we hadn't have course corrected. And I think that's one of the key messages when you are adopting a new platform, is that you have to have the buy-in, not just at the senior leadership level, but right through the business, so that you can adopt the software and be successful.
Thanks, Billy. Can you top that catastrophe?
Potentially, yeah. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I've not quite got 42 years experience in tech or in anything else. Actually, I wasn't on the planet that long. Sorry, Billy. But early on in my career, I worked for a local e-commerce and digital agency. And they sold websites, hosting, and SEO. And the managing director decided that they wanted to make better gross margin on the hosting, which is a good idea to have. And they had a developer who was pretty nifty on a server. So they decided to self-host. So they had hardware in their offices, and they had this developer that managed it all. Then one day, those servers basically exploded and corrupted, and 300 local businesses' websites just turned off. So that's like going into your shop in the morning and the door being locked and you just can't get in. Trade stops. So it was pretty critical for those customers. And as you can imagine, a bit chaos unfolded over the coming few hours and into weeks. And unfortunately, the backup system they had wasn't backing up. So they couldn't just quickly grab a backup and launch those sites again. And that took a long time to get those sites back on. A lot of them ended up being from much older versions and weren't with all the latest edits, which was pretty painful. And I would say that the impact of that really halted the growth of that agency. It really damaged the reputation in the local market, which is where they got all their new customers from. It could have been a much bigger, more successful agency, but it wasn't. I think on reflection that founder and the MD would have probably given back all that small amount of extra profit if he could have. And the lesson I took from that is just because you can build something doesn't necessarily mean you should. And I think that's a really important question in today's world where it is so much quicker and easier to build anything, really. But you still got to ask yourself, do I want to take on the burden and the responsibility of keeping this going and keeping disaster recovery and everything else that comes with that. So that story really stuck with me.
So you've just mentioned a couple of things that businesses should think about when they're deciding whether to buy or build. Billy, can I ask you the same question? What should a company think about, buy versus build?
So I think it depends on the size of the business. I think if you're a small micro business or small under 10 employees, this kind of size, it's hard enough running your business. It's hard enough. You already put a lot of long hours in, 7 days a week, putting a lot of effort into making your business successful. And one of the challenges you've got, am I going to look at, building my own platform because technology is out there that will help us do that quickly, or are we going to partner with somebody who has that expertise and to help leverage that expertise and that technology to help me keep growing my business? And I think, at the small end of the business scale, I think you should focus on what you do best. You should focus on all the things that are going to help grow your business and find a partner that's going to help you do that. If you're a bigger business and you've got departments and you've got resources that can be assigned and to implement some kind of self-build, then by all means, it's a good idea to consider that and take that forward. But I think the key thing for small businesses is really understand whether or not you want to divert your focus to an industry that's fast-moving, very hard to stay in the cycle and keep up to speed. Focus on what you're best at and what your dream is. It wasn't in doing technology. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to add on this point?
The only thing I would add is I think every business book you read, anything you listen to always comes back to vision and strategy. If you've got a really strong vision, if you've got a clear strategy, then you're going in the right direction. And I like building product. I like being involved in that. I love AI too much probably. But it's about, does this align with my strategy, my vision? Is this where I really add value into the market, or is this just something I want to do because I'm interested, or I'm maybe trying to save a bit of money? And so that's the thing that I always think about is this adding to my business? Is this adding to my plan? Or shall I just maybe pay a bit more, but actually delegate all that responsibility and that headache so I can really focus on what matters?
And I think you've actually just touched on something I'm about to ask you about, which is one of the core mistakes that people might make, but what are some of the core mistakes that people make when using software or choosing software to help them grow their business? Billy, shall we start with you?
Yeah, so I think that there are two areas that I see the most, and one of those is when they choose a solution in isolation. So they've got a particular pain point within their business. It might be a particular department or one part of their business, and they're looking for a solution that's just dedicated to fix their particular issue, without looking at the wider view, without looking at whether or not it integrates seamlessly with other tools that are core to their business, or understanding, what's the driver for needing this particular tool. Examples that I've been involved with. When we look wider the field, look a little bit more laterally at what the actual solution needs to be doing, we found in one instance there was a customer who's looking to upload Excel spreadsheets and things into the platform. And you look at it and you think, well, where do those come from? And there's another tool sitting in front of that further forward in the business workflow. And what we actually ended up doing to the customers, making them realize that it isn't about coming up with a solution where you can import spreadsheets. It was coming up with a solution where we take that product at the front end and we work and allow them to use their API to send it in seamlessly, that data coming straight into the solution. So, rather than just laser focus on one particular part of the business, look at the whole business and look at how we can make it more efficient, how we can make it more, improve capacity, and ultimately help grow that particular business. And that's what we were able to do in that particular scenario.
Yeah. Same question for you. What is, in your experience, what are some of the core mistakes people make?
So, just to amplify what you say, really, I think planning is super important. I've always found this, when we were doing projects on e-commerce sites at my company, the more time we put in up front, the more time we save during the project. It's really important to give it time at the beginning to really understand what you're trying to do. And you'll be surprised how much of an impact that makes further down the line in the decisions that you make up front and the impact. The only other thing I would say to add to this as well is what's the output. So a lot of the time, reporting is just essential for how your business operates and understanding, using data on what decisions you need to make. And I had this personal experience. We moved to a different billing system, and we checked all the processes, worked absolutely fine. But the reporting wasn't quite where it needed to be, because when we were upgrading or downgrading people's contracts for sort of license adding or removing licenses, it was actually marking it as cancelled and then a new contract, which meant that we couldn't really track, what the performance was in a joined up way. I knew what it was when I spoke to people and worked on spreadsheets, but that's not effective. So we had to rebuild that process, which was a waste of time, and we lost some data. So I think of the output as well, how you want to track and measure certain metrics, and make sure that that's considered as part of the specification phase, and your processes and systems kind of work towards that output that you can trust.
That's great. You've both touched in some of your stories on what happens when you neglect the people side of things. And I think that is hugely topical at the moment, where we see at pace companies thinking or trying to replace humans with AI solutions. But fundamentally, and we heard this so many times yesterday, businesses are not just a set of tools. They're made up of people. So in your experience as technologists, how can you, as a business, strike the right balance between investing in technology and all these amazing new solutions that are out there and investing in people?
Elite businesses, which I met a few last night, have elite people. And I'm quite fortunate at ClearCourse to be surrounded by quite a lot of them, but we're a collection of lots of businesses, and we've got a good number of people, so we're fortunate for that. But in my previous life, when I was running Celadec, we were 30 people, so you didn't really have the luxury of just an absolute superstar team. It's just not realistic. It's really hard to find those people. It's even harder to keep hold of them, and they're expensive. And so you may be fortunate enough to have one or two, but it's really difficult to have a team around you that covers all of the functions. And so that can often mean people look at you. So you have to become that person, you have to become that leader and that specialist, which is quite a lot of pressure and can be quite draining. So for me, it's about taking those elite employees and leveraging them, and understanding how you can take all of their knowledge and experience and put that into systems and processes, and really make sure that that skill set is just cascaded down across all of your other staff, and it will level them up. And I feel quite strongly about that, because I used to be kept up at night thinking, oh, what if Hugh leaves? He's got the key relationship with this client, and he also does all the coding here. And so we work on ways to kind of make me sleep easier by using technology and processes and systems.
Yeah, great. Billy, same question.
So I think there's a key balance between tooling, AI tooling, and your team and the individuals. I think one of the core elements here is everyone in small businesses in particular working really, really hard. They're probably working long hours. And it's very difficult to ask people to work harder, but they can work smarter. And part of that smartness is to provide the right tools and to allow them to excel in what they're doing, to energize what they're doing. And AI in particular is one of the toolings that can be used to actually deal with automation, deal with recurring actions, or to make some ultra-quick decisions on activities. And I think using tools like that really do allow you to have the individuals focusing on what they can do best, how they can drive the business forward. You're basically unlocking their potential to start looking at how we grow the business. The tooling is being used to help grow the business. It's helped to improve its quality of your delivery, the service levels, everything. So I think that's the key. You're investing in the tooling, and by giving them the tools, the individuals the tools to do their jobs correctly, particularly with AI, the insights, they can make better decisions, and that will help the business grow. And you've got all the people in your business working smarter, not just the owners.
Great. So I told you I started with a little bit of a pessimistic question, so I'm going to flip that on its head now. What examples can you share of businesses that you've seen across your very long and illustrious career and your shorter one, but businesses that you've seen that have completely they've been turned around by implementing the right technology or system? Billy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, my point I made earlier on about, when things go wrong is where you don't get the buy-in. Well, when things go really right, you get the buy-in. You get the buy-in throughout the whole of the business. Yes, it's a challenge to implement a new product, a new project. And once they actually get through that stage and we get it implemented, you then reach a position where the actual users become champions. Now, at that point, you've got a successful implementation, and they then take it on further. You're unlocking the growth potential. They see the value. I've got an example where we did a successful implementation, and then they came to us and said, we've got a department, we're receiving thousands of letters every day. How can we improve the efficiency of that kind of department? So we built a document management system, and what that was, it was bolted onto their core system. They opened the letters, they put them all into a scanner, it OCR'd the system. We then put it through some technology which looked at the letters, understood the type of letters, understood what needed to be done with those letters. And in the space of a morning, every morning, they were able to scan in thousands of letters, process those letters, and update the customers who those letters were relevant for before lunch that day, where previously it took up to a week to do a day's worth of post. So that's where a customer not only was successfully implemented, but they then became champions and wanted to drive growth still further.
Great.
So I think I'll use myself as an example here, because I was quite proud. It was a proud moment when it went live. So we had lots of different platforms. This is probably, some of you will resonate with this. We had lots of different tools and platforms for different things. And just to get a single view of a customer was at times quite challenging. Lots of different tabs open and speak to people. And I just felt like that was stopping us from making decisions and just focusing our efforts and conversations on the customer, essentially. So I wanted to pull that all together. So we implemented Zoho One. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's quite a good tool out there. It had CRM, billing system, invoicing, reporting, and we built a few things in there for like license key generation. But it was all connected, so it created this single customer view. And it just enabled the team, the account managers, or wherever else to just fully understand who is this customer, what's the relationship, what's the history, what do they have, don't they have, all those things. An example which I think is like real world value is there was a one click on the CRM to see what the outstanding balance was on that customer account. So when you're on the phone to the customer or messaging them, you just, little gentle reminder, you owe us $1,000, can you pay up please? And that helped with cash flow, and it meant that we didn't have to do this, this kind of mini project every now and again to just remind people to pay the invoices. So that can seem like a small thing, but when all of those small things add up, it really has a massive impact on just your kind of way of work and how efficient and effective you can be.
Great. Before I ask this next question, which I didn't tell you guys I was going to ask, there's actually 3 questions that have come in live. Forgive me, I'm going to have to put my glasses on here. I'm a sole trader. I create art pieces, and my main customer base is online. Are there any apps or tools I could use to get more organized? I'm an online business. I want to reach more customers. What are the best tools for me to use? I run a small bakery with just 12 employees. Are there any tools I could use? So three what look like they could be ClearCourse customers asking what tools they could use. And what I was going to ask each of you is, what are your favorite tools, either that you use personally or that you see really driving huge efficiencies for your customers?
Just before I answer that, firstly, 12 employees isn't a small bakery. I think that's a pretty good size. They're shipping a lot of bread out. And secondly, we have a product for that, EPOS Bureau. So you should go and check that out. It's perfectly built for you, for that market. But in terms of tools I like, I have an unhealthy obsession with AI. If you ask my wife, I think it's necessary. But so at the moment, Claude is my best friend, and I use it for quite a lot. I've also been playing around with OpenClaw on a server and doing all sorts of things. That's not with company data or on a company server. That is completely separate, 'cause it is a bit of a security risk. But yes, so Claude is my favorite tool at the moment.
Claude, great.
So I've got 2. So Teams, Microsoft Teams, it's been a game changer for me, for my business and for my colleagues. Collaboration with the wider field. We're part of a large organisation with many businesses, and we do a lot of cross-business collaboration. And without that kind of tool, it now makes it available to us to speak to these people at drop of a hat. We can get collaborate on documents, collaborate on anything. So I think Teams has been a really strong player for us in our business. Well, personally, when I'm doing the work that I do on a daily basis, Microsoft Copilot, I use it for absolutely everything. And I encourage all our team to do more on AI, use it to fact check things, use it to do what you need it to do. And I think that's they're my 2 favorite tools at the moment, and they make a difference.
Yeah. I would just add, thank you for asking those questions. We would be happy to discuss very specific business needs with the folks online or anyone in the room. We do, as I said, have more than 30 products and services that meet a range of needs across very specific industries. Food and retail is one of them, so happy to help in any way that we can. A closing question, unless there's any more online. What is one piece of advice that you would share for someone who's currently looking for tools to help manage and grow their business? And we see that we've had 3 already.
Yeah, the first answer I give on this reminds me of when you go to a cinema and it's got don't watch pirate DVDs. So it's be curious, but the fact that you're listening to this is you are curious, obviously, and you're looking to learn. So I would say keep doing that. Don't stop. Keep being thirsty to learn more. And YouTube is your friend. I can't imagine life without YouTube. You can just consume so much content. Don't be afraid of technology. It's much easier to get your head around if you really commit to it. And then the second one I would give is become, if you want to yourself, be a super user. That I personally like to be, but have someone that's a super user of your software, your technology. What's really important is ideas is what drives your business. That's what will make a difference. The software is the execution, and you need to be able to turn ideas into actions and then into whatever that is in terms of the technology. And so understanding how that software and how that technology works and where things are and what you can and can't do can then mean that those ideas can actually become a reality. And I think it's really important to invest your time and effort into your tools and make sure that you know how can I make this work and operate the way I want it to match my ideas.
Yeah, great.
I've got two suggestions, and one of them is, what we talked about earlier on, which was, know what you're looking for in your solution. Know what look at wider what your business is doing. Look at what's going to unlock your growth throughout the business. Don't just look at a focused view of one particular department. Your software can do end to end if need be. And the other side of it, don't just think there's thousands of tools out there which you can just sign up for online, but that's your only relationship is with the tool. Think about working with a partner. Look for a solution that comes with a partner who's going to help you implement. Their idea is to help you grow, and they won't just be with you for the initial setup and implementation. They'll be with you through the whole business journey. So as you're growing and continue to grow organically, they'll be there beside you to look at the opportunities and to work with you to help you maximize your use of that solution.
Fantastic. Thank you both. I really appreciate it. So as we are a little bit over time now, and there are no more questions, first I just want to say thank you to Elite Business for having us. I think you can tell that we've got two very passionate ex-business owner, founders, and technologists here. And we will be available for any of you that are here in London to answer questions after the session ends. But thank you for the opportunity to let us come and talk about something that we are also passionate about, which is how do we turn technology into opportunity for small businesses. I think a couple of key themes that I heard from what Billy and Josh talked about is the importance of preparation, investigating different outcomes, but also making sure that you understand what it is that you want to achieve with the technology before you even start that investigation and preparation process. The second is around interoperability, right? Having 12 systems that don't speak to each other is probably going to create more chaos than efficiency. And so understanding end-to-end how all these things are going to work together is very important. As I said before, the balance between human touch and technology has never been more top of mind in the technology industry, full stop. And I think I heard from both of you that human-in-the-loop component is incredibly important. And making sure that you have buy-in from your teams and then making sure that you're investing in the training and maintenance of the systems is hugely important. The final bit that I would just say is you don't have to solve these problems alone. I think the community that Elite Business has built is incredible. There are so many companies like yours that are trying to find the right answers, trying to find the right solutions. And equally, there are organizations like ours where we are here to help answer any questions that you might have about what the right system or tool for your business is. And I think we have a slide that has a QR code. Please do follow us on LinkedIn for more insights or contact us directly. As I said, we'll be around after the presentation and look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much for your time.